I choose my expressions very deliberately because I don't want to hurt anyone. Knowing that you're able doesn't mean that you will, okay? So when you say, I could hurt someone, so therefore I will never allow this action, when you never allow it, you limit a part of yourself, and there may be a range of expression of that part of yourself that is very essential to what you need to do, especially if you're the type of person who has dreams and there are things that you must do in the world. You need access to all parts of you because it is the amalgamation of these things together that create your circumstances. Hello. So, when we are leading change, when we care about the ends and the way we go across it, there is no excusing the person who is leading. And I promise I'll get to the ends and the means, but we can't ignore the person because what we bring as we are leaders, it's a part of it. Unless you're seriously just pushing a button on a machine, you're a part of it. So let's go through this really quickly. What I want to show you is a way, it's not simple. There are several layers. There are some parts that will be very recognizable to you, but sometimes, and if you're a strategic leader, if you're the go-to person, you know what I'm talking about, all of the things can be in place. And there is some seemingly hidden variable that is throwing things off. And this may give you a good idea of a few places to look and may not be the answer, but I hope that this inspires a little bit of your thinking. So, where this originated, I've been playing with an acronym in my mind, AMA, not ask me anything, but allowing, awareness, and motion. And I'll put this up on the screen. This is not actually what we're going to talk about today, but this is kind of where it began. I was sitting at coffee waiting for a client to be free, and I started to notice something. We we see the thing that we're looking for, but we don't always see the mechanisms that are involved in it. This slide is for the people who like charts, but let's go through it a little more slowly. Body, mind, and spirit. This concept of a person has been talked about for centuries, at least maybe longer. We understand that there are components of self. When I worked with the Air Force, it really thrilled me to see that they saw the spiritual side of a person as something that needed to be addressed for resilience. And yeah, we all have a spiritual side. However you express it is different, but there is more to us than the physical body, and there is more to us than just the mind, in however you define that. There is a spiritual side, and I think yeah, that doesn't need to be drug out very much. So then I think it was just several months ago, I heard Master Shri Akarshana talk about your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. How if your thoughts restrict your actions, or if your actions make you unable to have certain emotions, if these three things are not working together, you cannot powerfully create. And as I just turned that over in my mind, that's where I came up with this little image. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know what I'm talking about here. There are parts of yourself that are always meant to be self-sustaining, but when you delegate away parts of that, then you also need something external to take its place, and how that's not very helpful. However, this concept helped in one sense, and I started to think about motion, awareness, and allowing. I don't know why. I don't know why I started thinking about this way. I think I was just looking for a way to say, you know, there's a point at which we need to open our fist and allow some flow. And awareness and motion just seem to be, you know, cooperative activities. But as I was sitting at coffee, I realized, oh, these three things are talking about the three different things from three different perspectives. And this column at the left, activity, mechanism, and result. When I tried, I knew they went together somehow. But when I spent some time and I really looked at it, I thought, oh, it started to make so much more sense. Because let's just think about the yellow column. Well, we'll go through this in a little different way. Some people don't like graphs and charts. If you're looking in the upper left-hand corner, the mind, the thoughts, we've been told since we're a child, you need to control your thoughts. And sometimes that became really difficult to do as you're learning about things like manifestation, which I have got to say, I would like to understand better than I do. They say that your thoughts are so important that what you think about for 11 seconds will come around. And it's just, I mean, it gets kind of gaslighty because you start judging yourself and how do I do all these things? Or let's go over to the body in the bottom area. Tony Robbins talks about you have to take an action. You have to, jump on a trampoline and get your body moving because it, it affects things and people see how these things all work together. But I would say that these results, the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions, they do work together. The mechanisms, your mind, body, and spirit, they work together. And these activities of being aware, being present, and allowing, or, just being flowy, being not tight-fisted, but what is the term? The recognition that it's a wave and I can flow with it and I have choice. It's that sensation, your sensations. And then motion, the activity of motion. These three things work together. I don't think anyone is denying that. But then the question arises, what if my mind wanders? What do I do? What do you do? Because if they work together and my mind wanders, then my mind is kind of taking me off track. And so then I need to control my thoughts, don't I? Maybe. Or the question comes up, why? What if my emotions are everything right now? And it just seems like the emotions are so big and I don't like these actions. Yeah, I take these actions, but the emotions just feel so big. These are things people ask, and that's what causes us to think that maybe it is all one thing, but maybe it's not. And then another question arises, what if I believe that parts of myself are not acceptable, or parts of myself are not in my control? And we're talking about the body at this point. These are things that we can use to begin to judge ourselves, but I want to say that we can gaslight ourselves into believing that my body, mind, and spirit, or my actions, my thoughts, and my emotions, that they need to be equal. And so we start to scrunch in those circles and say, you can't move. It's like trying to catch the wind. You can't catch the wind. You can't. It's wind. And if you do catch the wind, it'll just be stagnant and awkward. Okay, no, let's not talk about that. What I'm trying to talk to you about today is not about believing that the circles need to be equal. I actually believe that each of those circles will pulse. Maybe they'll pulse together, I don't know. But at some point, some parts will seem more emphasized than others, and that's fine. What I want to talk to you about is knowing that these exist, that the different perspectives of each of the singular circles can have different perspectives. You can look at them differently. But the more that you understand how to look at them differently, I think this will help you to work with them more intelligently. And it is about you, the leader, the future leader, the strategic leader. This is about you being whole as you work through all of your circumstances, any of your challenges. You want access to all parts of yourself. Now, I don't, at some point, I'll stop saying this because I will believe that people are rolling this around in their mind. Having access to all parts of you doesn't mean you will choose to use all parts of you. There are parts of me, and I've known this since I was a teenager, there are parts of me that can really do damage to someone else. Physical damage, mental damage. I have that capacity, but because I know I have the capacity, I choose my expressions very deliberately because I don't want to hurt anyone. Knowing that you're able doesn't mean that you will, okay? So when you say, I could hurt someone, so therefore I will never allow this action, when you never allow it, you limit a part of yourself, and there may be a range of expression of that part of yourself that is very essential to what you need to do, especially if you're the type of person who has dreams and there are things that you must do in the world. You need access to all parts of you because it is the amalgamation of these things together that create your circumstances. And I say that just because it popped into my mind, not because that's where we're going. But just to move on, once you see these pieces, you can address your complications with more useful techniques or attention. If in your mind, if your thoughts are not the actual issue, if you start to notice that it is what you are noticing, that it's your awareness, this can help you to address the issue a little better. So instead of trying to control your thoughts, instead of gaslighting yourself, instead of calling yourself names, instead of giving yourself labels, if you can just say, oh, my awareness went there, I wonder why, and you can address your awareness, it's a little different than trying to control your thoughts. It's a slight nuance, I understand. But when you work with someone like me, it becomes important to have that vocabulary for yourself. Now, let's say it's a combination of two things. Perhaps your actions are a problem. Instead of just simply working on your emotions or controlling your body, perhaps it's about something that you allow. Perhaps it's something on the emotional spectrum. Perhaps it's that you not only allowed it, you were seeking for an experience, and that resulted in an action that brought you your circumstance. This is going to make sense to a few people, but I'm just going to drop that out there, and we'll see where that ends up for you. So why do I show you all this? And it's to introduce what I do. This is not a sales section. I want to explain to you why I teach the way that I do. In the realm of leadership, there's so many different topics. People can talk about goals. You can talk about the future. You can talk about leading others, being convincing, being attractive, making a lot of money. There's so many, in leadership, there's so many different things that you can talk about. You can talk about society. You can complain about the structures of the world and how, everything's difficult and look at how we're divided. Okay. Yes, all I'm trying to say is the leadership realm is quite diverse. And as a leader, you need to navigate these, but let's make it a little more clean. What I do within the realm of leadership is I coach strategic leaders. Now, a strategic leader, in the way that I define it, this is an integrator. It's the make it so person. You're the subject matter expert. You may or may not be an actual executive or in, those top leadership positions. A strategic leader can be found at anywhere in the organization. You're the person who sees, okay, here's the plan that you want, and here's the way that we want to carry it out. And I see 4 complications. So either I'm just going to go ahead and solve them, or I'm going to let someone know, and together we can work on an issue. You may do this for several reasons. It may be in or out of your expertise, but you see the issue. I would call you a strategic leader because you have the wherewithal to bring it up to someone. There may be times that you're saying the right things at the right time, but it's not landing correctly. And that's when you want to work with someone like me. When you feel like you're not exactly being heard the right way, but you want to be because you care. You care about everything that's happening around you, and you just need that bigger perspective, or you need someone to help you filter out, am I talking about it at the wrong level? So do you see why understanding the different levels of yourself are important? Because when you take things out into the workplace, or you take things out into your service group, your philanthropic, like local group, if you see an issue and you don't feel like you're being heard, perhaps it's all about vocabulary, or perhaps it's about timing, but these are the things I can help you work through. Because I have led large scale change, I've needed to learn the language of functional groups that, I was not trained in, but I needed to learn it on the fly so I could be understood, so I could create smoothness, so we could have the outcomes that we actually wanted. So work with me if you're preparing for a new role or a promotion. Perhaps you're being misunderstood and you don't want to be misunderstood anymore. Or if you're leading your business or a team through some kind of large scale change, these are the things that I love. I love, I love, love. I love change. Not to create change just for change's sake, but because when we're creating change, it is an opportunity to improve. It's an opportunity to smooth things. The future is so bright. I love being around people who are innovative. Now, I've given you a target. I'm a strategic coach. I help leaders avoid burnout, but as you coach with me, some people find that they need something more specialized, and so we start to hone in. It could be VIP coaching. It could be doing a values action assessment on your business. It could be working with you on a short-term basis, and I'll do some business assessments with you. More description for those who actually are interested in things like that. Or the most focus that I can give you, the most focus I'm willing to put into a business is if you're focused on change, you're either planning it, you're in the middle of creating that change, or you're trying to sustain it and it feels kind of fungible and you're worried about that. I love dealing with these issues, but again, the way to get to me through consulting is to talk to me about one-on-one strategic coaching, because then we start to understand each other. I won't be involved in every business. I'm pretty selective. So we have that conversation. But the point is that if you need to be that strategic leader, we need to wade in the topics of the larger leadership community, or people care community, or envisioning the future and being creative and innovative. If you're the type of person that you can't say just yet, I'm a strategic leader. If you're not even really sure that you can say that you're a leader, before ever getting to strategic leader coaching with me, there's an opportunity to attend some courses, and you can hone up some skills and just kind of see how that is going. There's so many networking groups that you can go to in your local area, BNI groups. There are ways to get involved. The best way is to go to your organization that you work for and say, I would like to contribute in a larger way, but I don't know how to ask for the right situations. what would you advise? And just start that conversation with your local group. That is the best way to go because they'll give you some advice. And as you take their advice, you might say, okay, that's not exciting to me. So now you've learned the language of things that you don't want. Or you'll say, oh, that was interesting, but can I do this? And you'll start to make suggestions and you'll start to hone in on things you really enjoy. So there are things that you can do that cost no money. You can keep watching these things on socials and YouTube and learn more. So that'll give you more vocabulary. But when you are ready to really go quickly, you can find someone like me. But upcoming, we will get into more of the ends and the means. But thank you for taking this time today. It really makes me excited to teach. I love teaching, and I couldn't do this if it were not for the people that take advantage of my services. So thank you. See you guys.